I trusted my brother with my son's life, and he almost killed him just to prove me wrong. My name is Sarah. I'm 34 years old, and I'm a single mom to an amazing 11-year-old boy named Daniel. Daniel has a severe peanut allergy. One wrong bite, one careless mistake, and his throat swells shut. That's why he always carries an epinephrine injector with him, a small device that could mean the difference between life and death. But what I never expected was that my own brother, someone I trusted more than anyone else, would betray that trust in the cruelest way possible. I grew up in a family where appearances meant everything. My parents cared about reputation, social standing, and not making a fuss. My older brother, Jason, was the golden child, athletic, charming, the kind of person everyone seemed to admire. I was the opposite. Quiet, cautious, always worrying about details. So when Daniel was born and diagnosed with a severe allergy, my natural instinct was to protect him fiercely. Maybe even overprotect him. Jason never let me forget it. He used to laugh whenever he saw me double-checking food labels or wiping down kitchen counters before family dinners. "Relax, Sarah," he'd say, rolling his eyes. "You're raising him in a bubble. He'll never grow up if you keep acting like this." Sometimes he'd even sneak jokes in front of Daniel. "What's next? You gonna wrap him in plastic before he goes to school?" I hated it, but I brushed it off because he was my brother, and deep down I thought, when it really mattered, Jason would have our backs. One day, Daniel's school announced a week-long trip to the mountains. It was his first overnight trip away from me, and he was beyond excited. I, on the other hand, felt my stomach twist into knots. What if something happens? What if someone forgets his allergy? I kept asking myself. Jason overheard me venting to Mom. He smirked. "There she goes again, the allergy police. Sarah, you need to stop living in fear. Let the kid breathe. He's not going to die because someone looks at a peanut." I wanted to scream. He didn't understand. He never understood. But Daniel's eyes lit up when he heard about the trip. And as a mom, I couldn't take that away from him. So, reluctantly, I agreed. Before the trip, I checked everything. Snacks, medications, emergency contacts. I packed not one, but 2 epinephrine injectors in his bag. One in his backpack, another in a side pocket, just in case. Jason was there the night before, lounging on the couch with a smug grin. "You know," he said, sipping his beer, "you treat that injector like it's holy water." Maybe if Daniel learned to live without it, he'd realize the world isn't out to get him. I glared at him. "Jason, that injector is his lifeline. Without it, he could die." He just shrugged. Or maybe he'd learn not to be so weak. I brushed it off as another one of his stupid comments. I had no idea those words were a warning for what he was planning. The bus was loaded with laughing kids, teachers running around with clipboards, and parents giving last-minute hugs. Daniel hugged me tight, promising to call me every night. Jason had shown up unexpectedly, saying he wanted to see Daniel off. I thought it was sweet. Maybe even a sign that he cared more than I realized. What I didn't know was that sometime between my hug goodbye and Daniel climbing onto that bus, Jason slipped into his bag. 3 days later, my phone rang. It was the school nurse, her voice trembling. "Sarah, it's Daniel." He had an allergic reaction during lunch. We gave him his injector, but it didn't work. He's being rushed to the hospital right now. My heart stopped. "What do you mean it didn't work?" The nurse was panicked. It was empty. Completely empty. I don't even remember driving to the hospital. My hands shook on the wheel, tears streaming down my face. By the time I reached the ER, Daniel was lying on a bed, pale and gasping, hooked up to monitors. I rushed to his side. "Baby, I'm here. I'm here." The doctor explained that they had to use the hospital's emergency injector because the one in his bag had no medication inside. Someone had emptied it. At first, I thought maybe it was a manufacturer's defect, a mistake. But then Daniel, weak and pale, whispered something that made my blood run cold. "Mom, Uncle Jason was in my bag. The night before the trip, I froze. When I confronted Jason, he didn't even deny it. Instead, he leaned back, arms crossed, and said, "Yeah, I did it. But you know what? It was for his own good. You've been treating him like a baby his whole life. I wanted to prove that maybe you don't need to panic over every little thing." I couldn't believe my ears. "You risked his life to prove a point? He could have died, Jason." Jason's face hardened. "He needs to toughen up. And you need to stop being so dramatic." "Look, he survived, didn't he?" I screamed at him, louder than I ever had in my life. My parents tried to intervene, telling me not to make a scene, but I didn't care. I cut Jason out of my life that very day. No more family dinners. No more pretending he was the fun uncle. No more giving him the benefit of the doubt. When I told the rest of the family what happened, some believed me. Others said, "Jason would never do that. You must be mistaken." But I knew, and Daniel knew. The betrayal carved a permanent scar between us and the people who were supposed to protect us. Daniel recovered, thank God, but he has nightmares sometimes. He wakes up crying, asking if his uncle will try to hurt him again. As for Jason, he still insists he did nothing wrong. He even told me once, smugly, "One day, you'll thank me. One day, you'll realize I was just trying to help." But I don't thank him. I never will. Because no matter how much I tried to protect Daniel from the world, I never thought I'd have to protect him from family. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the people who should have loved you the most. My brother thought he was teaching my son humility, but all he really taught us was that some family can never be trusted. What would you do if your own brother put your child's life at risk and didn't even regret it?